Hello and welcome to the first pro tip video here at Wickham Park Golf Club with me, Ben. Last week I asked you guys to send in questions that you might have about golf, the golf swing, anything really that relates to golf, and we had some responses. So today I'm going to answer a question from Matt Hymers, who asks, on a course like Wickham, what would the best 4-seam clubs to carry be, i.e. more lofted clubs? Okay, so firstly I think we need to understand what we mean by a course like Wickham. So I would take that to mean a course that's quite short by today's standards, and probably more importantly at this time of year, like all the golf courses in the area, it's quite wet underfoot and on the greens and on the fairways. So I think that's what we're going to need to know in order to answer this question. Okay, so I think there's going to be two main areas of the bag that some people will get wrong, in my opinion. So firstly, I think the wedges. We've got a short golf course here, so you'd be expecting to have a lot of wedge shots, shots from within 120, 150. So you want to give yourself options with yardages. It's amazing how many people I see that still don't have a gap wedge in between their sand and their pitch. So my pitch might go 120, my sand 90. So if I didn't have a gap wedge, that's a big gap in the middle. So I think that's quite an important club to have. You could also add a lob wedge to that, so that gives you another yardage option, more options, chipping, pitching around the green, higher, softer shots. So you might be thinking, I haven't got enough room in my bag for 4 wedges, which brings me to my main point, the woods, the top end of the bag. So this is the area that I see most people potentially making some errors. So for example, a lot of people will carry a 5, 4, sometimes even a 3 iron and a 3 hybrid, 4 hybrid, a 5 wood. All of a sudden you've got 5, 6 clubs there and they'd all pretty much go the same distance, believe it or not. Okay, so I'm going to do a bit of an experiment on myself. Okay, so I'm going to hit some shots with my 5 and 6 iron, because I'm confident that they're gapped quite nicely. And then I'm going to see what happens when I hit some shots with my 4 iron and a 4 hybrid, and see which one gives the best result. Okay, so I'm going to put the SkyTrack on the club gapping setting. So what that's going to do is get me to hit 10 shots with each club. It's going to take the best 3 from those 10 and average it out, and that'll give you my distance for that club. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, so these are the distances given to me by the SkyTrack. So 5 iron carrying 195, 6 iron 179. So that is about right, 15-16 yard gap. That's pretty much perfect for me. So interestingly, looking at the 4 iron, which is on the right hand side, 201 carry. So that's only a 6 yard gap between my 5 iron. Whereas the 4 hybrid is gone 210 in the air. So that is a 15 yard gap. So that's much more appropriate, especially when it comes to playing winter golf, because as we said, it's going to be wet underfoot, so the ball's going to pitch and stop. So those carry distances are very important. So even, you know, I've got a fairly good swing speed and I can't get the most out of a 4 iron because of the way the head's designed. So, you know, potentially I'm walking around with the wrong set makeup as well. So there's a good chance a lot of you guys are as well. So I'll just quickly explain, even though they've got the same loft, why one goes further than the other. Okay, so the first reason is that hybrid's got a graphite shaft, which is lighter than steel. So the lighter club is a little bit easier to swing faster. But the second, more relevant reason is a lot to do with launch angles. So bear with me, it's about to get a little bit more complicated. But if we use the hose pipe analogy to understand this, we can see there's an optimum angle to point the hose in order to get the furthest carry on the water. If I point it too low, the water will not carry as far, which is essentially what's happening with my 4-iron. And the slower your swing speed, the more likely it is that your long irons, such as the 5 or even 6, will have the same problem. So hybrids work because they increase the launch angle because the heads are wider, which means the centre of gravity is further away from the face. The further away from the face the centre of gravity is, the higher it will generally launch. So this is how two clubs, even though they've got the same loft, can launch the ball at different angles. It's also worth noting that this effect can be seen as we go from a hybrid to a fairway wood. So depending on your swing speed, you might find that 7 wood works better than a 4 hybrid, or a 5 wood works better than a 3 hybrid, etc. Okay, so with all that in mind, I've put together some suggested set makeups based on the average length of your drive, which are appearing on screen now, so feel free to pause it. Now obviously these are just rough guidelines, as there's lots of other factors to consider, such as your personal preferences or whether you hit it naturally low or high, but it acts as a good starting point and hopefully gets across the point that I'm trying to make. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my first pro tips video. If you've got any questions about your set of golf clubs, I'm running a free equipment checkup week from the 14th of January to the 20th, so feel free to book yourself in a slot there. And if you've got any questions you want to ask me for a future pro tips video, just leave it in the comments section below.